As you can see on the YouTube, I've got my Jimmy Dugan jersey from League of Their Own and my Coach Ballgame Chicago Cubs jersey hanging on my door behind me there. Also got my piano that I'm learning the theme song to a certain amazing TV show. Chopper, you think you can guess what TV show theme song am I trying to learn on the keys?
I'm going to go with Friends.
Great guess, incorrect. I'll give you two more guesses.
Okay. The Office.
Great guess, incorrect. Final answer.
Final answer is going to be from my producer, and I'm going to go with Full House.
Tommy Gold thinks it's Full House. The correct answer is Cheers.
Oh, everyone knows your name. All right.
Come
Good.
on.
I like it.
It's not easy, but I've fired it up on YouTube, and that's what I'm doing. Good morning, listener. Good afternoon, wherever you may be. Shout out to Vin Scully there. Chopper, how you doing here?
Gosh, I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here, excited for our guest, and just ready to roll, dude.
Your wife brought something in just now. What did she bring in?
Oh, my gosh. Great question. She brought in 3 DiGiorno pizzas, rising crust. And I have to tell you, Coach, but yeah, atta girl. And I got to tell you, I've been all over the country. And I mean, I will put a DiGiorno rising crust frozen pizza up against just about any pizza I've ever had. I love it. So good.
Yum. Big fan of Costco pizza myself. I could just dial that in all day long. But I don't think we've talked about this. We did in the past about your Philly cheesesteak. Just for the brand new listener, what goes on in Philly with baseball teams and Philly cheesesteaks, Coach Chop?
You got to get in there and you got to order a cheesesteak. You got to order it early. You got to order it often because they're making them to order, and you got to get in there. And they got tons of options, super consistent. It's a pound plus of meat. It's a 12-inch roll. It's all kinds of cheese whiz, and if you want mushrooms and onions, and if you want a breakfast one, they'll throw it in eggs. And if you want chicken, they got that. It's the real deal, really.
And there's a competition. What's this competition?
Well, I mean, you've got multiple competitions. The one that I was the leader of for a while was a one-day competition. So I had 10 cheesesteaks in the belly in about 12 hours. But then they did. And then they also have a 3-day and then also a 4-day. So there's some high numbers up there.
And every baseball team that rolls through Philly to face the Philadelphia Phillies, they get somebody on their team or on their staff to try and beat the record. And you held the record forever. Friend of the pod, Daniel Bard, texted you. What did he text you, Chopper, just a few weeks ago?
Yeah, earlier in the year, he texted me that he needed some advice. They had I think a strength coach or someone was going to go for it. And they went for it, and it was impressive. I will say this: Tyler Glasnow tried it, and he failed dismally. I think he stopped after 4, and that's barely trying. So love Tyler Glasnow. He's an absolute stud. But when it comes to competitive eating, he's no I don't know, Kabayashi, or who's Joey. What's the Joey guy? Joey Chestnut. He's no Joey Chestnut.
Good Lord. 10 in your belly, just like that. I mean, no wonder all these Dodgers came on the podcast last season. Yeah, by the way, new listener, go back and listen to all those great interviews in the first couple episodes. Hey, folks, welcome. I think it's episode 38. We've had some great episodes already this season. Today, our guest, one of my good pals, I went to Tampa and I ran a Sandlot, and he came and helped coach and talk to the kids. He's an analyst with MLB Network. He's an analyst with ESPN. He works with Valley Sports with the Tampa Bay Rays. It's Xavier Scruggs, former major leaguer. He played about a decade in the minors. He played a few years in the KBO. he's been around, and he's got some great teammates. I want to ask him about all the teammates that he's had. You go down the list of teammates, there's Yachty, there's Waino. With the Marlins, you've got Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton. There's some really cool ones there. And he's also faced a lot of great pitchers, some pitchers that are dialing it in present day. So I want to ask him what it's like getting in the box with Scherzer and DeGrom and Garrett Cole and the best of the best. And yeah, just talk to him about baseball and life. He also called the Little League World Series for ESPN. Really tapped into the youth, wants to grow the game. Great personality, great guy. So Xavier Scruggs, he'll be hopping on in a little bit. So I'm fired up. You got some good questions for him, Chopper?
I do. I have 3 written down, but then I'm pretty decent at just kind of going through the conversation, and I'm sure stuff will come up. I was going to ask him about his teammates as well, and just kind of the character, like what kind of energy and stuff they brought. So between the two of us, we'll definitely get to the bottom of it, because there's some legendary teammates that he's had, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
As always with our major league players, former or present, we've got a little trivia contest. So we'll see if you can jump on the scoreboard there, Chopper. But before he hops on, just a couple things to tap into. I know you had something you wanted to chat about Michael. I'll hop in first. I'll go first with a moment last night at Sandlot. And this was with a kid that I've been coaching for about 4 years. And I'm sure all you parents and coaches can relate. It's just that kid that I can't wrangle. As much as I ask to hustle or to listen or to pay attention or to stop playing in the dirt or to, stop being disruptive, it just never happens. And last night I had a moment of clarity, and I had a distinct moment of the podcast and like listening to the words you say. And when we had Texie and Jamie on, just the words they say, and even the words that I say that, I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. There was an instance of no hustle and just had a bad attitude. And I went firm with it because he's older now and he's been around for years. He's heard me do my spiel a lot. So he knows what good choices, how important that is to me. And it just wasn't happening. So I brought everybody in for a team meeting, and I was firm once again. I said, I've told you for 4 years about great choices, how to hustle, how to be a good teammate, how to overcome adversity, how to bounce back. Let's go. Let's get after it. And it just wasn't working. And then I walk up to the guy and I have this moment of, I want to go even louder, but I'm going to go Chad Chopper here. And I'm going to say, hey, something going on. I went that route, immediate, broke down crying. Never seen him do that. Right. Always seen him just kind of pout when I challenge him. And I'm like, gosh, why haven't I tried this one? Why haven't I tried to just be the nice uncle that's like, hey, is something going on at home? Everything okay? And that was the first step towards production, towards productivity with that child, was something I just overlooked for 4 years. And I'm driving myself crazy. Come on, go faster. Let's go. You can do this. I've told you many times. Whereas there's obviously something going on deep down, and he needs somebody to listen. So I said, buddy, you can cry. Go ahead and cry. Let it out. I'm a good listener, and I want to listen. Will you tell me what's going on? Crickets. Went back a few minutes later. You want to tell me what's going on? No, he's not ready to share whatever is tearing him up inside, but we got somewhere. And it was all because of this weekly conversation that we have. So just a very, very clear moment of clarity there. Clear moment of clarity, clear clarity. And that's thanks to you, Chopper. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's winning a heart. So that's our goal. Speaking of winning hearts, so I have my son who is now a freshman. And he tends to occasionally, and by occasionally I mean nearly daily, turn the dugout into his bedroom. So there's shoes and a backpack and trash and a bat and batting gloves and all this stuff all over. And I've told him multiple times, like, Michael, that's not how we do it. You know, you got to be clean, and it's just not the play. So last night, in between practices, he went off to a volleyball game, and I was going to run home real quick, get a quick bite to eat, and then come back. And sure enough, I mean, he took it a step further. I mean, it was an impressive amount of debris all over the place that were all his, you know? And so my instincts were like, great, I'm going to make him run and this, that, and the other. And he's not listening to me. He's being disrespectful. And I had it all figured out. And then I went home and I started making dinner for my other son, Noah. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go a different route. So made an extra, thinly sliced beef sandwich, delicious, and threw it on a hoagie, wrapped it in tinfoil, and took it back to the field. And I had it in the dugout waiting for Michael as I stepped over all of his debris. And he came back from the volleyball game, and I called him over. I was watering the field, and I said, Mike, I've asked you multiple times to keep the dugout clean, and you didn't do that. And I really, really, really wanted to make you run. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to show you grace. I made you a sandwich. It's in the cubby for you, and I love you. So he was pumped. He was hungry, and it's the right decision. Now, with that said, you show grace and mercy, but then I'm anxious to see how he responds, because if it happens again, I don't want our coaches to think there's no consequence. You discipline those you care about. But when there are moments where if we go the opposite of what we want to do, I think that there's the right decision oftentimes is if we give it a little bit, think before we speak, breathe. Oftentimes we're going to pull a 180 and do the right thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes the hardest choice for me is to give that grace and to try that approach. But I mean, when you're going firm, when you're making them run over and over and over again, and you're seeing no change, you gotta switch it up. You gotta throw the curve, the slider, the two seam. You gotta mix it up a little bit. So that, I think it's the hardest thing to do. Well done. Let's hope that it garners a little bit of change in him. And it's parenthood. I know every parent, every coach can relate to that. So what I tell my team is, a sharp dugout, a clean looking dugout is a productive one. There's going to be some more hits. There's going to be some louder cheers. So, I like to dial in the Showtime dugout setup at the very beginning. It's the routine. When they arrive, they put their bats in the bat pile, gloves in the glove pile, hang their bags up against the fence. Then they get their warm-ups in. Then they're playing the game of catch. And for the youngest ones, it definitely helps with losing their glove or losing their bat. Now they still do it. I still haven't figured it out. It's not a perfect science with a 4-year-old and trying to keep up with their own things. But hey, my daughters will listen to their dance teacher a lot louder than they will me. They'll listen to their teacher a lot better than they will me. So maybe it's just going to take a different voice, a different coach saying, "Hey, Michael, what can we do here?" But I think it's a personality thing, don't you? Like some people are really neat. Some people are not. Isn't it just a personality wiring?
Yeah, I think so. But I think as coaches, we're doing our kids a disservice if we don't help them learn that, create the habit of being clean and create the habit of really diving in and taking pride in your field and your dugout. The term I like to use is like, our God blessed us with this field, so we need to take care of it, and we need it to shine. So they're doing a much better job for the whole group of just being mindful. And it's like, hey, when we're doing field jobs, if you're done with your field job, pick up rocks, pull weeds, like let's go, like let's take care of our yard. And to their credit, it's been about a week of me kind of turning the switch, and they're doing a much better job, and it shows. The field looks great. It's awesome. Got a game tonight, so it'll be fun.
Outstanding. Go get them. Well, we've been trying at our Sandlots and my coach Ballgame Sandlots. It's basically like it's an alternative to Little League or travel ball. We've broken it up into levels. It started in 2017 with just one game, and it was ages 4 through 12. Anybody show up, let's play. And that's now turned into an age 3 to 5 beginner Sandlot, age 6 to 9 intermediate, age 10 to 13 advanced. And now we're opening up another division, the elite Sandlot. And this is for that. This is for that 10-year-old that's played 4 years of travel ball already and ready to step it up a notch. And the idea is it's the travel ball skill with the Sandlot feel. It's elevated baseball, but without the pressure. And I think we're on to something here. And I found a great coach. It's going to be a great fit for that. Be able to teach the skills at a high level, but also have that Coach Ballgame voice and Coach Ballgame lens. So I'm super, super pumped for that. And maybe that'll lead into some tournaments where we have some Coach Ballgame travel team tournaments, but it's in the Coach Ballgame way of doing things. Everybody's got to have a nickname. You got to be kind. You got to give people fist bumps that get out. You got to cheer for everybody. So maybe that's the next big tournament is that Coach Ballgame travel tournament. You bring your boys out. We'll have a big tourney. There'll be pizza and ice cream afterwards. There'll be salutes and fun banana ball innings. Wait, let's throw a banana ball inning in or a Texie ball inning in, right?
Yeah.
Where we get to remind all these high level players, high level travel ball kids. Yeah, baseball's really fun. Baseball's super fun, especially at that elite level. Let's have fun with it. So I'm pumped up for that, dude.
I mean, speaking of elite, look at your hair right now. Like, can I just address the elephant in the room? I mean, that is elite as it gets. I mean, that's the DiGiorno pizza of hair right now. That is so good. Great hair day.
Yeah,
so
I dialed it in. Usually rocking the hat, but decided to go.
I know.
Decided to go just the hair. Took a shower this morning after I did some taxes. I got the girls some breakfast. It's picture day at school, so on top of preparing for this interview, there was a busy morning, but I was able to mix in a shower. Mrs. Ballgame got them to school, and I appreciate that.
You're looking good. It forced me to put a hat on because I did not have my A game hat and hair, and I was like, I'm not going up against that. Where's my Dodger hat? Throwing it on.
Yeah. Well, you look good. The
Thanks,
beard
man.
is always just so pure, and it really makes me want to be a better father.
I said that to a kid last night. So our right fielders, we're working really hard on. Mookie does this all the time. Ball's in the right field corner. Field it, spin glove side, that little spin turn, quick feet, quick arm, one hop. So our right fielders are doing that. And they were alternating 8 good throws in a row. And I literally said, boys, your throws are making me want to be a better husband. And it was like the pure Coach Ballgame line. But it was so impressive. I can't wait for guys to try to run on a right fielder. It's like we're putting in the work. And I'm really proud of these kids. It's pretty cool. It was impressive.
And those comments you make about your hustle makes me want to be a better father, or that kindness makes me want to be a better husband. The parents just love it. They laugh and they get a huge kick out of it. And I think that's a big part of it. Not only are you have these kids that are giving you this uncomfortable eye contact and they treat it as creed, but you're entertaining those parents as well. And if you can entertain the parents, then you can engage them. And then you've got them. Then they'll listen to what you have to say. Now something I want to listen to is the beautiful pipes of one Xavier Scruggs. Do I see Xavier Scruggs in the house?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up?
Do you hear that right there? God, that's
clean.
Is that Jim Nance? Right? Hello,
Yeah,
friends.
right.
Ubiquitous. Buddy, thanks for hopping on. How are you, bud?
No, I'm doing well. How are you? It's good to be on here.
I know. I got to see you in Santa Monica. You brought now you have 3 kids, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Xander was the one that we brought. He's the middle one. And then we have the oldest one is Zeke. And the youngest one is Zuri. She just turned 1 not too long ago.
Busy daddy, and a busy man in baseball. But I like what you do. You'll bring one kid at a time to different places and have some one-on-one time with what you had one-on-one time with Xander, brought him out to the All-Star game. You had lots of duties with MLB, but you were able to swing him by my play ball camp on the Santa Monica beach. And man, he was having a good time. That was fun.
Hey, Xander was having a blast, man. And the opportunity for us to be able to bring one kid is a blessing within itself. So Xander having the opportunity to go to Santa Monica, experience the beach, be able to play with you in the Sandlot, and be able to go out there and run around, even though he may not have known what he was really doing. He had an amazing time. So I was happy about that. And me and my wife had a great time as well.
Great meeting your wife there. And Chopper, I want you to meet XMan. I don't know if you guys have ever run into each other or had mutual teammates. I know Chopper played in the Expos organization back in the day, but yeah. That's
nice to meet you, man.
Good morning. Nice to meet you too. Yeah, I'm a little bit older, so I don't think we are. We might have had some shared teammates. Probably did, but we're really excited to have you on here.
I'm sure they've crossed paths at some point.
It's a small game. The baseball world's pretty small, so very 100%. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. The first time I got to meet XMan in person was in Tampa, and I was in my February Florida tour. I go to Florida for Sandlots to coincide with spring training. And I mean, this busy dad of 3 who works with MLB Network, ESPN, he works with the Rays. He does other things as well. He came for 3 hours and helped coach this Sandlot in Tampa. And man, it was just so great to kind of see you in person, see your passion for kids. And I guess that's where I'll start with you. You played minor league ball, you played major league ball, you played in the KBO for 13 years. But why go the route of our youth? Your social medias, you're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's very engaging, and a lot of kids, they recognize you from those platforms. Why go that route?
Yeah, I think for me, it's very simple. It's all about the next generation, right? In order for us to be able to kind of be able to pass down the better things that we were able to learn, we have to kind of go into their realm of things, right? You mentioned the TikTok, you mentioned social media. I feel like that's going to be the best way for me to be able to reach that next generation and be able to pass down some of the great things that I've learned along the way of my journey, not just from baseball, but from life in general. So for me, I know that I wouldn't be in the place that I'm in today or the success that I've had today without being able to learn from the people that I was around, whether it be my parents, whether it be mentors, whether it be coaches, trainers, teachers. I understand how valuable it is to be able to receive information and to be able to apply it. So now I'm hoping that I can be able to do the same for that next generation, and then not just for them, but also for my kids. We talked about it a little bit before. I got 3 kids. I want them to be able to see me walking about things the right way and leading by example, not just for them, but for everybody. Right. So I hope that that's kind of just a footprint that I'm able to leave way after I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about it a lot on this podcast. Just the impact is a life giver. Like the fact that I know I'm impacting one 8-year-old, one 9-year-old today, man, that makes me want to wake up in the morning. That gives me life. It's a real life giver. So I can see that in you as well with all you do. So Chopper, I'm going to throw it to you as far as your first question for the XMan. But listener, check out Xavier Scruggs. Go see what he's doing in the social media world and all those platforms. So Chopper, you're up.
Yeah, I want to touch on what the XMan said about like passing it on to the next generation. And we need to look, as coaches, we need to look through that lens of life skills, right? Like life skills. It's not just baseball. If you're just trying to win the game, you're going to yell and scream at the umpire when he makes a bad call. But if you're looking at it as trying to empower these kids for life, you're going to go a totally different route. You're going to be respectful. You're going to be calm. You're going to show composure, and these kids are going to be able to see that. So XMan, I love that. And coaches, look through that lens of, I am impacting these kids and giving them the skills for their life, off the field as well as on the field. Question I have for you, Xavier, is I want to know your thoughts on winning and learning. You probably know HP, Hunter Pence. He's doing Baseball Network, and I'm sure you've crossed paths with him. He taught me that, and it's something that we try to really work on. How much did you focus on, okay, great, if I win the game, if I win the at-bat, that's great. But if I strike out or we don't win, what did I learn so I can stay positive and grow and go on to the next day?
Oh man, I'm so happy that you asked me about kind of that balance of winning and learning, because I think that's one thing that's ultimately tough for an athlete to figure out. And a lot of times we're so taught, especially in the game of baseball, it's about me, right? I got to do what I need to do. I need to go out there and perform. If I go 0 for 4, woe is me, right? The team wins, but I still messed up. Like I didn't do my thing. And I think once I got past the point, and this was in the minor leagues, I had multiple, I can't even name just one, but I had multiple kind of mentors talking to me. And one of them, Ozzie Smith, who my dad went to school with him, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He told me it's more about how you can learn to get better every single day, and if you are putting yourself in a position to learn from both your successes and your failures or your losses, whatever you want to call them, that ultimately is going to put you in a position to be successful in the long run. And he wasn't even just talking about baseball. He was just talking about life in general and saying, when you take the focus off of, man, I didn't do something right, but man, what can I learn from that situation? What can I write down? And I'm big on this too, is like every single game, we play 162 games. Like I can take every single game and go back and say, okay, what did I do wrong? Because there's always going to be something that you didn't do right. But how can you learn from that? So there's what did I do wrong, or what did I feel I didn't accomplish? And then 3 bullet points. How can I get better from those things? And it's immediate better. What can I do tomorrow as soon as I get back to the field? Instead of thinking, oh, I need to hit 300, or, oh, I need to drive in so many RBIs, or whatever it may be. But just once I got the idea of learning from the things that I felt were my weaknesses and being able to attack those the very next time I got to the field, that's when my career was able to take off. And I was less focused about failure and more focused on, oh, I get a chance to learn. So that was huge for me. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's something that I try to talk to a lot of the young players about is, what did you learn today? Like you might have balled out. You might've been went 4 for 4. What did you learn about yourself though? Did you take something away? Are you going to go into tomorrow's game just thinking, is that easy again? Or what did you actually learn? So that's a great point. I try to apply that not only to my own profession of playing, but also in life.
Yeah. And trying to pass it on to that next generation, I tell my kids, like, fall in love with the grind and the process over the results, right? So it's like, you got to grind every day, and you go 4 for 4, great. And you go 0 for 4, also great. You know what I mean? You can get into that process. Like you said, write it down. I did the same thing. I had a little black book where I wrote down everything I knew about that pitcher. In the minor leagues, you're going to face those guys a lot. And I had my book. I actually had every count written down. So I tried to pick up little patterns. Hey, 1-0, like the Braves, 1-1 was an automatic changeup count back in the day in the minor leagues. So 1-1, I'm sitting changeup and trying to see it up and do work. But I love that. And that shows why you had such longevity. And it shows why you're still impactful right now, because you learned through some great mentors process, and learning and trying to always grow. I love it. Coach Ballgame?
Oh, that's great. Preach. I love that. I just kind of blacked out a little bit listening to that goodness. I want to take it back a little bit. You grew up in Southern Cali, drafted in 2005 out of high school in San Diego County. but decided to go college, played 3 years at UNLV, then drafted again in 2008 by the Cardinals, 19th round. So from 08 to 2014, if my math is right, that was a lot of minor league baseball. Your major league debut was in 2014. Towns like Springfield, Memphis, Palm Beach, and other towns I can't really pronounce. And I think there's a lot of listeners out there that are in their fourth, fifth, sixth year of minor league ball, or maybe they want to be in the minor leagues. What'd you take from those 6, 7, 8 years on those buses that you use now, and what advice could you give for that kid out there that's grinding?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is, and it's such a, it's something that'll suck the life out of you, is comparison. For much of the time that I was in the minor leagues, it's like it's hard not to compare yourself to other players. And I think a lot of times, if you're able to block out the comparison factor and focus on what you need to do, that's ultimately when I had the joy of playing. And we talk about the learning process and the grind. Like, that's when I was able to kind of dive into the joy of those things, waking up early, going and hitting off the tee and trying to figure out, how can I get better today? Or how can I get myself in a better position to hit a slider? And I just think that the grind is a part of whatever you're going to go through, right? Sometimes for some reason, God has us go through certain things for a longer period of time. And sometimes we go through things for a shorter period of time. And we may not always be able to control that, but what we can control is our attitude about it, and the way that we look at responding to those situations or those circumstances. Because, if you take a step back from those types of situations, you realize, and this is something my dad or mom would used to tell me, bus rides, I would be AA crying, 0 for 10. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's wrong with my swing. X, take a step back and look at the situation that you're in. You're getting paid to play professional baseball. Look at where some of your friends are at. They're still back home, not knowing what they're going to do as far as job, profession, all those things. They would love to be in your shoes. So I think one of the things to answer your question is learning from your weaknesses and focusing on day-to-day getting better, but then also sometimes taking a step back and realizing how far you've actually come and appreciating and having gratitude towards that, because it almost gives you like another breath of fresh air. And it's like, oh man, my perspective changed and I can look at things differently. I'm happy to be in the position that I'm in. I'm gracious that I get to continue to grind and have an opportunity to perform.
Yeah, well, and the grind that you have, and all those moments of crying on a bus and retooling your swing and asking that hitting coach, hey, can we get some early BP? I mean, that's what paid the bills for me in my 20s, is struggling through college with being able to not hit 92 miles an hour, going to my hitting coach, okay, coach, we've got to strip it all down and start from scratch here, so I can hit that outside fastball to right field, and then being able to teach that to a 12-year-old under a floodlight behind a McDonald's. That's how I paid the bills my entire 20s life. So there are so many silver linings that come from that grind, and I can see you've used those all those moments of struggling now to impact somebody else, and you speak so eloquently on all of these things. It's really fun to hear you communicate it with the next generation. It's great. Chopper.
Yeah. Thing I like to talk about, and XMan, you don't know, I'm a head baseball coach for high school now, and I try to create this vibe of like a spirit of response, right? So if we make an error, like, don't hang your head. Like, hey, I cannot wait to see how you respond individually and as a team. Let's overcome it together. And even a bad call, like, sure, it's a strike or a ball, whatever the case may be, but how are you going to respond? I can't wait to see your character shine through in this moment. And I can tell just by hearing you talk that you were a great teammate. So that's going to be my question to you is, what did you bring to the field every day as you learned early on you had that comparison. I had the same. It was always hard when you're 0 for 4 and the team wins to fake like you're happy. And it was always hard after a 4 for 4 when your team loses to pretend like you weren't happy. You know what I mean? So I get that. But like, what did you, as you really matured as a player and as a man, what did you try to bring to the field every day? What were some characteristics? What was the energy that you brought to help your team win that day?
Yeah, I think for me, I was lucky I had the understanding early on that baseball doesn't last forever. And knowing that kind of in the back of my mind, like relationship building was important for me. And I don't know necessarily if that was like a priority, just that something that I was wanting to do. But I think naturally I kind of understood that, you know, bringing an energy and bringing an opportunity to have conversation with guys, even if it is in the clubhouse, if it's in the dugout, if it's something that takes my mind away from the field, something subconsciously getting away from the game, whatever it may be. But I took like the relationship part of playing extremely seriously and understanding that, especially in the minor leagues, I think you're blessed because you start to learn, wait, there's guys coming from the Dominican, there's guys coming from Venezuela, there's guys coming from Puerto Rico. Like, I don't know anything about these backgrounds, but how exciting of an opportunity is it for me to get to learn about something that I have no idea about? So I think for me, bringing the energy of wanting to learn more about the guys that I was playing with allowed me to be more comfortable as a player too, right? And be able to enjoy the successes and the failures with these guys because we related on a different level than a lot of other guys would. And I think that's one thing that allowed me to have a one up on some guys is I wasn't as concerned as like just all about myself if I had a rough day. No, if I had a rough day, I could go to one of my guys from Colombia and go sit down and talk with them and talk about our swings. Like, hey, what are you seeing? Instead of me being so down and just sulking in my own sorrows, because I've seen so many guys that, and you guys have seen this too, so many guys that are so talented, but their ego is all about them. And so when they go through those failures, they don't have anybody to lean on. And I felt like that's what something that I was able to have is I could talk to every single person in that clubhouse, including the coaches, including the staff. And that was something that I just took pride in. And I think ultimately that's helped me outside of baseball as well.
I love it. I had the same process as you in the minor leagues. I seeked out my teammates from Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican, and I thought I was sweet when I got drafted. I was a 6th round draft pick, and I spent damn near all of it on a Yukon XL on 22s. So I was rolling. But here's what I did is I made sure that I was in the same apartment complexes as my friends from the Dominican and Puerto Rico, and I made sure I gave them a ride. I could sit 8, you know, in my car comfortably. So that was my thing, was like, hey, I'm going to try to bless these guys that are from other countries and try to make them feel comfortable and help them and love them and try to throw Christ's love, show them his love. That's huge. And one thing I want to say, and I'll pass it to Coach Ballgame, guys, when you're going through it a little bit and you're struggling a little bit, put others first, right? Get out of your own head and get out of your, like, hey, what am I doing wrong? Or what am I up to? And go try to serve one of your brothers or a stranger. And then and that's biblical. And you'll be surprised how that can get you right back into the moment, and greatness is right around the corner. I love it, man. That was a great answer. Coach Ballgame.
The old golden rule. Chat with my daughters about that every day, and the kids that I coach. It's just a great way to get out of your own head and get a little bit happier, is to serve somebody else. Talking about teammates, you had some great ones. Names like Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, JT Real Muto, Yachty, Waino. When you were just getting into the show, who stands out to you? Who taught you to be a good teammate?
Yeah, I had so many guys, and I'm so thankful because I know not a lot of people have that type of opportunity. But just watching guys from afar, even when I first got into the Cardinals organization, Pujols was in the midst of being the best hitter on the planet. And just being able to watch him and have time with him and being able to learn from him was extremely important for me. And another guy that I played with only for 1 year, Jason Hayward. He was a guy that, and actually I think I'm older than him, but he had already established himself at such a young age in the game. When he came over to the Cardinals, he was kind of a guy that took me under the wing and was like, first day of spring training, hey, let's go run. I got my trainer here. Let's do some sprint work, whatever. But as a young player, when you start to feel like, okay, you know, I'm accepted, somebody's accepting me and wanting to work with me, you start to feel more comfortable. And I think being able to see someone go to work like a Jason Hayward, who's consistently done things the right way, you see the way he's given back to his community. So it's not just from a player standpoint, it's also from a personal human standpoint too. Like, those are the guys that I gravitated towards. Matt Holliday was another guy. He was a guy that would just randomly pay for my breakfasts at the hotel. And I would be like, wait a minute, the waitress be like, so he already paid. I'm like, who already paid? And he'd be walking around the corner. And I'm like, man, it's such a blessing to have those types of people. Adam Wainwright is another one that you mentioned. Can't say enough about his leadership. Yachty, my locker was right next to his when I was there. So being able to watch someone who gets to the field at like 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock a.m. and just studying the movements of base runners and seeing how he can get an advantage to throwing guys out, like the little details of watching the way those guys worked were able to rub off on me. And I had a better understanding of how I should go about my professional career.
Yeah. I've been in close contact with Albert, Yachty, and Waino, and the thing that stands out with all three of them is this presence. They're willing to be very, very present with somebody they don't know, with a nobody, and they'll just look me dead in the eye and you know, slowly ask a question, you know, a personal question about me, and really be engaged. And same thing with Ozzie Smith. These are a lot of name drop salutes for me, Coach Chopper. Thank you very much. But
love it. I love
Ozzie
it.
the same way, man. He was my first interview, and Joe Buck lined it up.
Wow.
And I got to shake his hand, and he's my dad's favorite player. And just, hey, nice to see you in St. Louis. St. Louis is a great baseball town. Just very
Awesome.
Interested in my life. It's huge. And Albert was on this podcast, and I asked him, why do you do kind things? Why? And he said, it's part of the gig. It's my job. God blessed me with this life. I'm already way ahead of the game with this power and this athleticism and this life that he has given me. So it's my responsibility to give back, and can't wait to meet Jay Hay. He's doing great things in Chicago with the underprivileged kids that want to play baseball but can't. So that's awesome. You also face some nasty pitchers, some guys that are still on the bump right now, tonight. Scherzer, he went 6 innings of perfect game baseball last night. You faced DeGrom, Garrett Cole, Arrieta, Sale. Maybe take me inside the box of Max Scherzer. That I would. And that might be enough said. That might be enough said. But yeah, I mean, simply put, what makes him that good?
Oh man, no, you're asking me to do something I don't want to do, Coach Ballgame. Like, that is just not right. You invited me on this podcast, and you having me dive into nightmares right now.
I will go ahead and tell you, I didn't face him. I did face Verlander in college, and he made me dry heave in the batter's box. So if you kept it in, if your stomach was still intact after you faced him, then you're one step ahead of me.
Let me tell you, my stomach was not intact facing Chris Sale. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, Chris Sale, as a right-handed hitter, you're supposed to see lefties extremely well. And I always saw lefties well. But when Chris Sale got on the bump and had his long arm coming, like it's coming out of the first base dugout, and I don't know where the ball is or how to time up what this slider is about to do. Should I even pull the trigger, or should I just leave the bat on my shoulder because I can't even see it? That's the type of situation that you're in. You feel like you're underwater trying to find a baseball. And that's just that. And that can be the set for a lot of these guys. Scherzer, DeGrom. I got a 2-piece off of DeGrom. So I got him right center, little double RBI. So,
nice.
but no, honestly, like these guys, And I think this is the cool thing. And I know you guys probably understand this and feel me. When you're facing those upper echelon guys, like something steps up in you though. Like you start to get some type of little good anxiety going. And sometimes it's almost like you feel a little bit quicker and maybe you got to slow down a little bit. I felt that way off of guys like Garrett Cole. And I think that's what helped me kind of go the other way off of some of those guys. Cause it was like, okay, let me just try to put it in play. Don't try to do too much. And I would see the ball pretty decent off of some of those guys. But I think the biggest thing is, from an anxiety standpoint, trying to slow it down. Like, yes, they're nasty, but if you can slow it down in some way, and that's the hardest thing to do in baseball, slow down the ball, right? If you can be able to do that, that obviously helps. But yeah, those dudes, absolutely. Chapman was nasty too. This dude coming, that Cuban missile with that 104 coming off the top. Man, you taking me back to some bad memories. That's why I'm not doing it. That's why they're still doing it. I'm not doing it anymore.
But you were there. You faced the best of the best. You lived to speak of it. And talking about slow it down, it's very hard for a young baseball player to hear those words, slow the game down, and then do it. But I think it's a long process of mentorship. If you're going if you're going to lunch with your mentor and you're able to kind of discuss life and mentor them through tough challenges in life, and then occasionally there's a bad at bat and you quietly chat with them in the dugout. I think that's the best way to teach a kid to slow down in a game, is to just kind of take it step by step, earn their trust. Chopper, I'd love to hear what you think on that note, as far as like, how do we teach a kid to slow down against Chris Sale?
Yeah, I experienced it facing John Lester, Scott Kazmir, Cole Hamels, and I was a left-handed hitter, so facing these nasty lefties. Yeah, and for me, what I learned was, especially, and it helps in the hitters counts too, because typically a guy's throwing harder, you can't see the baseball, you try to do more, right? Or you get bigger and you get way out of whack. So the two cues that I would have in a hitter's count or against really good pitchers, I would step out, take a deep breath, and just remind myself to stay short and see contact. And then I would clear my mind and go to work. And that really helps. So with my hitters, I mean, we'll get that machine going and it's throwing gas. In the first 10 swings, they will come nowhere close, huge swings, heads flying. I say, all right, boys, okay, you tried it your way. Now let's give this a try. Let's choke up a little bit. Let's try to go middle to middle away. Try to break the machine, right? Just a little line drive right back up the box. But that's what I did. And that's what I'm trying to help my kids with is, and you don't have to say mental cues, but you got to have something that can help you slow it down, get in the moment, and breathe.
Yeah. And we talked last week, we did a little MLB recap, and Chopper was the fungo hitter and the BP pitcher, among other things, for the Dodgers the past 5 years. And I said, why are they so good? And that was one of the things, is they have an A swing, but they also have a contact swing, put the ball in play. And they're just a pest on the best pitchers. And that's what we're about to see in the playoffs is these lineups facing the best of the best pitchers. I mean, you talk every day about baseball. Who's going to the Fall Classic, XMan? Who you got?
Oh man, this is going to be exciting, because you talk about like the best of the best, and I think when you look at what the Dodgers can do from a length of the lineup standpoint, I even look at guys like just having the luxury of adding a Joey Gallo, and being able to say, okay, whenever we need you to face righties, if you're able to put a good swing on a ball, that's great for us. Like, they have the luxury of just bringing whoever they need into the fold, but it's like a different guy every day. Like, yes, you have 3 MVP caliber players on the team, but when you're still able to count on guys throughout from 6 to 9 in that lineup that can perform at any point, anybody can go deep at any point in that lineup as well. And I love the fact that they'll put pressure on the defense. Like, this is an athletic team. They know how to run the bases. You think about adding a guy like Freddie Freeman, not only from a power standpoint, but his ability to run the bases. Like, so if I see somebody like him doing it, I know if I got more speed than Freddie Freeman, I better be running the bases right. So the attention to detail for them is on a whole nother level. And then when you talk about that pitching staff, the fact that you can bring guys in like Andrew Heaney and Tyler Anderson, and their careers change within a year, and they start looking like the best you've ever seen them. Like, there's something right in that organization to where guys are performing at a level that they may not have performed in the past. So exciting to see what this team can do. I think they're the best team in the NL, but I also look at the Astros, and they quietly just go about their business on the American League side, and they're going to be a team that's going to be fun to watch as well.
Yeah.
I want to touch on Coach Ballgame. Can I touch on the Dodgers real quick? Because I want to give credit where credit's due. Conor McGinnis is a huge part of that. He's one of their assistant pitching coaches, and they can identify pitchers that are on the free market or that they're going to want someday, and just know right away, if we do X, Y, and Z, they're going to have success. Pitch to their strengths, tunnel, all that good stuff. They use a lot of slow motion cameras. Conor McGinnis is a big, big, big part of it. And credit to the front office for bringing in a kid like Conor McGinnis. That's a young kid, but
Right.
He's very smart. He's awesome. So, like, that's the thing about Andrew Freeman is he's the best to ever do it, but he's still curious, you know?
Right.
And so it's a special group in there, and credit to the players. Andrew Heaney's got to be open to, you know, the recommendation of the Dodgers, but great staff, great players, great clubhouse, the athleticism, the accountability. Freddie Freeman's a baseball player. It's been impressive to watch him all year. I did not know he played the game at this level. When you talk about the base running and the defense and the hustle, and he posts every day. That dude's in the lineup every day.
100%.
Pretty crazy. Go ahead, Coach Ball. I have a question, but I'm sure you wanted to comment on.
Well,
on
I'm just thinking about, you know, the top two guys for the MVP race in the NL, Freddie Freeman and Paul Goldschmidt. Same thing. Goldie is I mean, he works on his base running, you know, and he works on his fielding so much, and he also is, you know, he's one dotting it, and his numbers are ridiculous. So the mindset and this leadership, this quiet leadership that they have, you know, I think that's a big part of it. The only thing I'd close up shop with on the MLB is they're on the next level. The Dodgers and the Astros, they kind of seem on this upper tier. Who can give them the best dogfight? XMan.
Yeah, I honestly think the Braves, this Braves team is like it's hard to find weaknesses. And when you have guys like that have stepped up, and you have two guys fighting for Rookie of the Year on the same team, and a Spencer Strider, who I think is the next coming of a Jacob deGrom, the type of stuff that he's got coming out. Great mustache. And Michael Harris II, who's come up and he's looked like a straight veteran on the squad. That just lengthens out everything as well. They already had a great team, right? They're already World Series defending. You lose a Freddie Freeman, but you gain a Matt Olson. You have an MVP caliber player in Austin Riley at third base. The pitching is deep. You add another Raisel Iglesias that it can be the eighth inning guy right before Kenley Jensen. So it's like, it's going to be a tough team to beat. Can't count out the Mets either. That's an extremely talented squad. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be the Braves, though, that end up challenging at least the Dodgers for an opportunity to get back to the World Series. Love
it. Chopper, back to you.
It'll be a fun NLCS. Hopefully it gets to that where you get 7 games of it, not just 5. Question after you. It's a 2-part question. So when you were growing up, who did you look up to as a baseball player? And then who do you really like in today's game?
Oh yeah, this is easy for me. Tony Gwynn was the guy that I like, because I'm from San Diego. So like watching the Padres and just seeing the way that he went about playing the game, and the ability to take the same swing over and over, no matter where the ball was. I was always more of a power guy, so I swung and missed. So like seeing guys that were able to make contact at a consistent clip and hitting line drives all over the field, those are the guys that I wanted to kind of be like. So watching him, and then watching him break down his tee routine, because like as a young player, you don't want to get off the tee. Like what is the tee? Like, you done with the tee? No, like that's how you perfect your swing. And so for me, that was one guy that I learned a lot from. And then as far as today, man, that's a tough one because there's so many good young players in the game.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like the athletic guys. Like you have the power speed combination. I love the idea of a guy like who was I just thinking about? Like Mookie Betts is like one of the guys that I'm always infatuated with, just his ability to drive the baseball and not being that big of a guy, but then his ability to run down balls in the outfield, be able to, steal bases as well. That's a guy that I love watching play the game. Same thing goes to Ronald Acuna Jr. His year hasn't been the same, but like watching him when he's at his best. And then probably my favorite like non-power speed guy is like I could sit and watch Rafael Devers hit all day. Like that.
Yes.
That's one dude that like he doesn't get enough of the recognition just because of how good he is with the stick. And I think if he spoke more English, and he does know English, but if he spoke more English, like he would be a much more of a star in our game today.
Love Devers swing, man. That's a great call. I got a quick Tony Gwynn story. I went to San Diego State, and he was an alum, so he'd come out and talk with us, and he'd play with us in games in Yuma and stuff like that. And Tony was hitting off the tee, and the whole team's around him at home plate at Tony Gwynn Stadium. Pretty special to be able to look out and see your name on center field. It's your Tony Gwynn Stadium. Yeah. Tony Gwynn's, he's hitting off the tee, and he's like, hey, you need to be able to put the ball wherever you want off the tee. So he's ripping balls in the 6 hole, or he called it the 5-5 hole, and ripping balls all over. So then he goes, all right, anybody raise your hand. Like, tell me where to hit the ball. So one of my joker teammates is like, hit a line drive off the 375 sign. And we all laughed, right? And Tony looked at him, and he hit a line drive, hit the 7 and 375. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, dude. I was like, this guy is next level. Love Tony Gwynn. That's a great call.
Wild.
Coach Ballgame.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Golly, that's so great. Well, one thing we do on the podcast with our players is a little trivia contest. So I'm going to ask a little trivia question. First person to answer correctly trivia, gets the point.
I'm like horrible at trivia.
Well, this is your trivia. This is trivia based on your career. So you might be able to beat Chad Chopper because
if you think you're bad.
Chopper is 0-13 so far.
That's not true. I beat somebody 3-2. And I would like to say, for the record, I always finish in the top 2. There's just 2 of us.
Let's start with 119 career at bats in the show. What pitcher did he have the most at bats against?
Oh,
with four ABs.
4 at bats, huh? Do I go for? So I'm going first.
It doesn't matter. It's a free for all. I'd love some initials if I could ask for him. I'd love some initials at some point of this pitcher.
We've said his name today.
I'm gonna say Arrieta.
Good guess. You can keep going. Incorrect.
Oh,
you had Scherzer? 3 against him. Max Scherzer is correct. I think this is the first time you've got the words.
Thank you.
I have you at 4 at bats against Max Scherzer, and then 3 against a plethora of names. And one for 3 against DeGrom with that double, which is pretty amazing. So 1-0 Chad Chop.
Wow.
I've never said that.
I'm happy about that.
We could stop. I mean, we could call it. I got to go. My wife, I got it. No, I'm kidding.
Number 2, he hit 1 dinger in the show. 1 more than me, 1 more than you, Chopper. It was against Chad Kuhl in August of 2016 at what ballpark?
PNC.
Bang. I mean, I was thinking of Albert the other day passing A-Rod in Pittsburgh. Like, that had to have been special for him with the Roberto Clemente Bridge overlooking. Like,
that's a good point.
Give us a moment on that, man.
Right.
I'm guessing one of those balls behind you is that ball.
Yeah, definitely one of the balls is. I think this one closest over here, closest to the wall.
Where'd you hit
my
it?
dad kept saying, my dad kept saying, you got your first hit, you got your first RBI. When's the first homer coming? And it came the third year was in the big leagues. So it took a while, but I was like, finally I got the ball, and I'm like, here, Dad. I just basically threw the ball at him. But I hit it left center.
Shoot, that's a bomb there. That's a bomb.
Yeah, hit it. No, it was a bomb. Like, I didn't get cheated at all. And as soon as I hit it, I knew it was gone. And then I heard D Gordon in the dugout, like screaming, yelling. And I was like, okay, well, if he's yelling, I know it's gone too. So, but yeah, that's one of those ones that hit the barrel and you're like on cloud 9 immediately. Like, I was floating around the bases. I don't even remember like the feet actually hitting. My feet normally hurt in the cleats, and I don't remember the feet hitting the ground at all. So it was like one of those best moments. Dapped up Lenny Harris, all-time pinch hit leader over there at third base. He was the third base coach. Came home. Yeah. Ichiro was on second base at the time, so came up, dapped up Ichiro. What's good, Ichiro?
You took away my next trivia question. My next trivia question was who was on base for that. So I mean, I might have to give him the point there. The question was who was on base.
Automatic. That's another point.
Ichiro. That's awesome.
That's so cool. That is another point. That was a two-banger, 2-2-1.
Hey, this the best part. Came in the dugout. Barry Bonds gave me the hug. He was the hitting coach at the time. Gave me the bear hug. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, no, this ain't life. Because Barry Bonds just gave me a hug. No, this ain't life.
Barry's not trying to hug too many folks. He was in that Giants clubhouse when I was there, and Barry is not trying to give out hugs. But hey, that's unbelievable. I love it. Hey, how was Barry? I know we're doing trivia. How was Barry as a hitting coach? And you don't have to go too in depth if you don't want to. I can read into that, but
no. Barry was amazing. Yeah, honestly, like he was to me, and I'll tell you, most of those guys with the Marlins at that time, he'll tell you he was an amazing hitting coach, just because he thought about things in a different way than most people didn't think about them. And most of the guys, and this, Chopper, you guys both know this. Most of the guys you see at the highest level of success, they think about things in a totally different manner. It doesn't have to be just baseball, but just like the most successful people think about things differently. And that's just what he did. So him passing down little stuff, and it was like, wait a minute, I never thought about it like that, but let me try to find a way to incorporate that into my game. So I like that aspect of
it. He was teammates with Sean Dunston, and I was doing instant replay for the Giants. So Barry would come up and just hang with us. That's before they locked it down with all these rules and stuff. So Barry was just hanging with me and Sean, and I would get that opportunity, kind of like you had, to talk hitting with Barry Bonds. It's like talking painting with Picasso, right. And just hearing his mindset. And one of the questions I asked him was, Barry, you got one pitch a series. How did you not miss it? You know what I mean? Like, what were you doing? And his thing was like, well, first of all, I never changed my swing. Like sometimes hitters will get all weird and start chasing pitches.
Right.
Like, I knew what I wanted, and I would sit on a pitcher's strength. So if I'm sitting slider and you're pitching to me, you throw 3 straight fastballs, I'll take all 3 of them. But when you throw that slider, I'm hitting it into the cove. And he did. It was crazy. Barry Bonds, to me, obviously, he's the best to ever do it. And to get a chance like you're like, pinch me. Is this real? I'm talking hitting with Barry Bonds. Crazy.
Wasn't real.
Yeah, it wasn't real.
Amazing. Tie game 1-1. Who was
no, 2-1. 2-1. X is up 2-1. That was a 2-pointer.
They got Ichiro.
Yeah, Ichiro. Gosh, I thought that was going to be when I found that out, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ichiro was on base. Who was X-Man's manager on that day when he hit that home run?
Mattingly.
Don Mattingly.
Yeah, I got him. I snuck that in.
I think you snuck it in for a tie game.
100%. Let's go.
I just
giving away points now.
I love the idea of Donnie Baseball, and from afar, I've never met him. I love his mustache. I love his swing. What was your favorite thing about Don Mattingly playing underneath him?
One of the favorite things is like he was still super athletic. Like he would get out there and throw batting practice, get out there first base, like showing me how to cover the bag and the way that he would do some certain things, and extremely athletic, working out every day. So almost kind of that you don't get to see a lot of personality from him nowadays as a coach, as a manager, but he's got a lot of youth in him that you may not be able to pick up from just watching him on a day-to-day basis. Like you can tell he just is still a young guy, honestly, that mentality.
Love it. I just love I could just kind of watch him. I could watch him walk. I could watch him talk. He's a very watchable guy for me, and one of my dad's favorite players. So grew up watching him play. Final trivia question. We're tied 2-2. And we're going to go with back to his major league debut in St. Louis. Who was his manager on that day?
La Russa.
Matheny.
Dang it.
And the winner is Mike.
I lose again. Hey, top 2 though. Let's go, baby. He lives.
Matheny's written books on youth baseball, and he just seems very passionate about that space as well. You got a favorite thing about that, Skipper?
Faith is obviously the biggest part of my life, and I appreciate his ability to not shy away from that as a manager. And really that's a part of who he is, and he brings that to the field each and every day. You can see him really live it out. And just his ability to command a room. Like he's an extremely like strong figure as far as like body wise, but also like his voice, everything is extremely just a big presence. And you can tell that the leadership is a big part of who he is as a person. And when you have that already, you don't have to fake it, and guys already see it so they can buy in immediately. So I love that about him as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely 2 managers I want to meet, Mattingly and Matheny. Last question. You got time for one more question?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for coming on and spending so much time with us. It's been a really awesome interview. Now you're calling the Little League World Series, and you're working with MLB Network, and I turn on a Rays game and you're there. How do you get these jobs? I think that's the question I had. Did you knock on doors? Did you send in a VHS tape of yourself? How'd you get these gigs? I think that would be helpful for a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is, and kind of going back to our first kind of initial conversation, is just the social media aspect of things has kind of taken a whole nother level. So for me, I think being able to develop a social presence in an age in which it's become extremely important to have an audience that's already relating to you, that was a leg up that I've had probably as soon as I retired. And I kind of understood that if I was going to brand myself as a real broadcaster, as an analyst, I better start creating the platforms for myself in which people will take me seriously. And I think once I started to do that, that started to open up some doors. And people started to understand that I was serious about it, but as well as I wanted to do things differently. Like I didn't want to necessarily do it like everybody else. And I think people appreciate that. And so it allowed for me to have some opportunities in which I may not have had. So I'm very grateful for the social space, and to be able to kind of create for myself and allow people to just organically see it.
Awesome. Well, it's a great follow. And I just, I love that we're friends, and that we can run into each other, maybe at an MLB gig or in Tampa or LA. And I really respect you and appreciate you coming on, man. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Coach Ballgame and Chopper. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure. And you guys keep up the good work, man. It's impressive watching what you guys are doing, and kind of the legacy that you guys are leaving behind, because I appreciate people that, and I told you this from the jump, Coach, I appreciate people that go about it the right way, because there's definitely right ways to go about it and wrong ways to go about it. So.
Great to meet you. And after getting to meet you, it makes sense why God's blessing you, and he's going to continue to bless you. So I wish you the very best, and I hope our paths cross soon, man. But it was great to meet you. That was awesome. Thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate you guys.
Attaboy on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Attaboy.
Have a great day.
Thanks, man.
It's a great day to be great.
All right, guys. Thank you.
See ya. Yes, sir. Wow.
Oh man, there you go. Maybe one of my favorite
Ballgame
interviews.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's right up there at the top. That's you can mix in 5, 6, 7 of our favorites. Like he's right up there at the very top. Wow. That was awesome.
What stood out
Awesome.
for me? I mean, it's honestly, it's just how well spoken he is on life skills and the game, as well as his ability to communicate that with our youth. It's really well done.
Yeah, high character, high faith. Just thoughtful answers. Reminded me a lot of Mookie. Like when you're in a conversation with Mookie, it's very similar and it's genuine and it's engaged and he's present. I mean, beyond impressed. What a great mentor and really cool. Really, really, really cool. That was a great interview. I'm excited for our listeners that are listening to this right now. That should be your goal, as a father, as a coach, as a player. He did it the right way and he's still doing it the right way and he's impacting lives. It's really cool.
Awesome. I wrote a few things down. One was comparison, when he answered the question about comparing himself to others while he was grinding in the minor leagues and the life lessons he learned there and perspective that he was able to gain. And then relationship building. That was what was important to him, was building relationships. And I agree. I think that's what you're going to hang on to when you're 80 years old, and those text threads and those friendships that you continue to harvest. That's what's important. That's what matters, and there are moments when it's like, I should probably work, or I should coach this thing. And it's like, no, there's a wedding or there's a reunion where these relationships that I've built for 20 years, we're getting together and we're going to have some fun and make a memory. And I think that he approached that the right way in that clubhouse. Just love that. It's great.
And that's his social media platform helped, no doubt, but I guarantee you his reputation that he created when he played and how he treated people and how relational he was, I guarantee that came into the play too, because like we said during the interview, like it's a small game, and you're one or two people removed from knowing each other, and you've got a plethora of people that are saying great things about him. I mean, I just got to meet him and I can't wait to tell people how incredible of a human he is. So that, how you treat people is how you're remembered, and that's your legacy. And he did it right. He's doing it right. So, I mean, I'm pumped for him. That's so cool.
Yeah. Heck of a job balancing his family with his work as well. He's got those three young ones, and just a great guy. So attaboy there. We'll close up shop.
Great job, Coach.
Thank you, buddy. The best thing we saw all week. Before we get to that, best thing we saw all week, we've got a really cool interview next week. And his name's Ethan Bryan. He's written like 12 books. And the most recent book is about his journey around the country playing catch with random people. And kind of, I love it. The way the act of playing catch can help one's mental health and help with anxiety. So Ethan Bryan, he's going to be on next week, and I'm just excited to kind of break it down. Like, what started you on this path of Johnny Appleseeding around the country, just trying to seek people out to play catch with? Pretty amazing. So that'll be next week. But the best thing I saw all week, I think, was yesterday, and it was at Sandlot. I was working with some kids ages 6 to 9, and we talked last week about the bashful kid and how you've got to spotlight that kid as well. The obvious awards go to the loud, hustler kind, cheering every pitch, dancing on a toilet. But what about that quiet listener who's improving more than anybody else? And I saw a lot of improvement just in a week from a very bashful, quiet kid who was, you could tell, was just listening in his own way and really gathering lots of information. And when I called this kid up, his nickname's Dragonfire, I called him up for an attaboy challenge. The facial expression he made when he heard his name and when he walked up and sensed all that praise from his peers was just jubilation. And I'll never forget that face. It's the face that I see sometimes when a kid that has swung and missed 8 times in a row finally gets a hit, drops his bat and runs to first base with that jubilation on their face. I look for that. I didn't even look and see where the ball went or if they caught it. I just look at that face because that speaks volumes. So best thing I saw all week was Dragonfire's face.
I love it. I'm going to go with two things. The first one is the Dodgers clinching the NL West. Really cool, really hard to do. I know it was a formality and everyone's like, oh, that's the best team. But how many times have we seen the best team not get it done and have that kind of that failure? Tremendous amount of credit goes out obviously to the players, but Dave Roberts and his staff. I mean, they work so hard. The process is tried and true. Dave's an amazing leader, and they're very mindful of who they bring in that clubhouse and who they surround their guys with, their players with. It's a tremendous group of humans, and I'm really proud of them, and I hope they go all the way. The other thing is we had a practice on Sunday night, and we were doing like game situations. So we were finishing up, and we were going with 3 out. You get 3 outs. So the team that was hitting, there's 4 hitters. They get 3 outs. Well, the first 3 guys got out. So the 4th hitter, and we're out of time, man. We were way out of time. Like supposed to be done at 8. It was past 8. And as a coach, you're trying to be respectful to the parents because you're a parent. So my whole heart's like, we got to go. So hey, start cleaning up. Let's get going. Let's get home. You got school tomorrow. And then Tiger, who was our hitter, was like, Coach, I didn't get to bat. I'm like, Tiger, I know, man. I'm sorry. He's like, well, can I just get one pitch? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, hey guys, put the bases back down. Tiger's up. One pitch, he hits a rocket to left center for an inside the park home run. And it was like we had just won the World Series. Everyone was so happy. The defense, Tiger. I was like, Tiger, that was the coolest thing. So this little group of 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, that practice, we turned like 6 double plays. I mean, it was crazy. It's just nuts. You're like, oh my gosh, guys, like you don't even know, as a coach, like that's like seeing a unicorn. You're like, they turned a double play on a bunt. It's just like, what? So it's pretty cool. It's fun. They're great kids, tremendous families. But good on Tiger. Attaboy to Tiger for saying, hey, can I get one pitch? How often does that turn into 5 or 6 foul balls and okay, one more. No, first pitch, rocket to left center. You'd love to see it.
Fantastic. And that one pitch, it could have not happened. And a lot of times the beautiful things come when a coach will say, you know what, let's put the bases back down. Let's give this kid one more pitch, as opposed to, cleaning things up and getting out on time. And then that wouldn't have happened. I ask my kids all the time, hey, we're out here at the Sandlot. What would have happened today if we would not have shown up? And the answer is nothing. Nothing would have happened. So you never know when something really amazing and life-changing can happen. A major announcement on my end. The film that I shot a year ago in September called Rally Caps with Judd Hirsch and Amy Smart. I think it's going to be really great. And it is premiering at the Heartland Film Festival in Indianapolis. And this is going to be October 8th. So me and Mrs. Ballgame will be flying over there. We'll put on our 3-piece suit and fancy red carpet dress and have a good time. Hopefully I'll meet Judd Hirsch, big fan. I wasn't in any scenes with him. I acted with him, but it was over a phone call, so we didn't really meet. So I'd love to talk to him. He's a big baseball fan. I got many Andy Kaufman questions from Taxi for him, and yeah, that it's going to be a really good baseball movie, G-rated for kids and family, but heartfelt, and I get to be myself. So excited for everybody to see it. I'm sure it'll be streaming somewhere someday, but that's all I got, man. Anything else on your end?
Yeah, I got a text yesterday from Longo and Craw, B Craw, and Longo texted me one of your videos on Big League Chew, and it was great. So we were talking about how awesome you are, and
the Big League Chew, man.
Yeah, Longo. I think the quote Longo said is, "Man, what a beaut! Like you're just a beaut." So
dude,
it was pretty cool. It was cool.
When Mrs. Ballgame lets me out of the house in my jean shorts and my cut off Big League Chew t-shirt, like I'm in my element. That's who I've always been. It's what I wore in college. It's what I wore in elementary school. It's who I am. And they're my only sponsor, Big League Chew. So I try and put out the best content I can for them. And Yeah, super fun. That's high praise right there. Longo, Big
Yeah, dude.
Raw. That's good people. I'm excited for this winter. Maybe we can have some return guests. Just
Oh yeah.
have a chat with Dave Roberts. Maybe after a World Series ring. Who knows? And just connect with these guys once a year would be fantastic. So Patreons, we love you, Coach Sparky, and Coach Termite out there. Thank you again for supporting. If you'd like to jump on board with Coach Austria, Termite, and Sparky and be our supporters, just go to the link. I'll post it in the comment section of our podcasts, and you can watch these on YouTube as well. Tommy Gold's doing a great job with the artwork, and follow along on Instagram at Ballgame and Chop as Tommy Gold gets those videos out. So I'll be raking. Thank you.
Yeah. May the rest of your week be as great as Coach Ballgame's hair.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.